fana bedi ya yemindo bay yirwa bunali be yeleta silolu lokuta lampolu be manata mani farol be mota potongo kata tolu be yemanta ndoleta nyina lela ngoy manza talale be yola lumfolo miye bankota yembe mota ko ela dimbaya jammele dimbaya marono dimbaya 22nd July revolution sabu nyima nyuli yekendi alelo Gambia 22nd revolution sabu nyima kundi nasi yo dia Gambia tudemba Gambia tudemba 22nd July revolution Gambia remember Gambia remember 22nd July revolution is the solution nabang kundi nasi yo dia Gambia tudemba 22nd July revolution is the solution nabang kundi nasi yo dia Gambia tudemba.
There cannot be peace and security in the absence of justice for all. Indeed, we have peace. There cannot be justice in the presence of hunger and starvation. This basic human right, the July 22nd revolution has realized, and it's top on the agenda. Eat what you grow and grow what you eat. That nation will solely be a healthy nation. Long live President Baba Superstar Jambe. Long live the revolution. Apachaki.
Nabangundi nasi yo dia Gambia tudemba. Gambia tudemba. 22nd July revolution Gambia remember. Gambia remember. 22nd July revolution is the solution. Nabangundi nasi yo dia Gambia tudemba. 22nd July revolution is the solution. Nabangundi nasi yo dia Gambia tudemba.
Good evening, wherever you may be. Welcome to EyeAfrica special edition here at Fole Mutine Karek ñu leena bégé bu baaxa baax di leen wax tatagal di leen wax ne dal leen jamm ci special edition yi li nga xamantene moy EyeAfrica TV tay na kuy sétane waxtu bi di nga xamantene tay lu special mo ñu ci tek fas ene waxtane li nga xamantene moy July 22nd revolution bi fego ci sama rakkat yi nga xamantene moy suma boss c'est sama rek té duma rek béna yoon moy Fatiza. Welcome to the show.
Jerejef Mama, I'm content. Thank you so much. It's indeed an honor to share the platform with you once again. It's always a pleasure to have you by my side. You're the boss. Actually, I have to give that back to you. You're the boss.
It's just a compliment, but thank you.
Yeah, as you said, it's the 25 years anniversary of the July 22nd. As we know, during the A.P.R.C, the way it's done, it's usually celebrated with so much fun, so much energy. But during the past 2 years, it's been different, obviously, because the main man himself is not there anymore. But then we'll go into more of what the 22nd July is about, what it entailed, and what happened after and all.
That will be very interesting. And joining us in our studios, we'll be having two guests, one from UK and one from Denmark. But first, we'll go with the studio stories. Fatis will take us through, and then when we are back, we continue our discussion. So don't go away. Stay tuned.
Yeah, today marks 25 years since the military junta under the leadership of Yahya Jammeh overthrew Jawara's regime in a coup on 22nd July 1994. The day during the 22 years rule of Jammeh was celebrated each year as a revolution day. However, many Gambians believe that it was the beginning of oppression. Amadou Kante has more on that.
This day marks exactly 25 years since Jammeh-led military junta overthrew the government of Dawda Jawara and then ruled by degree until the first presidential elections in 1996. In 1994, Gambians went into massive jubilation based on the hope that was the change they have been waiting for. The military leadership soon announced its retirement from the army and formed the Alliance for Patriotic Reorientation and Construction A.P.R.C party and swept the polls. The A.P.R.C government was then re-elected in 2001, 2006 and 2011, but lost to Adama Barrow under the coalition of December 2016. During the 22 years of the A.P.R.C government, The Gambia witnessed a remarkable infrastructural developments in the fields of transport and communications, education and health.
In 1995, when we marched, when there was the first parade of the revolution, there were less than 3 schools, madrasas. Today you cannot count them. There were only 5 high schools. Today you cannot count them. But what is more important is you the future of humanity.
The July takeover, for which important relics such as the Banjul Arch and other institutions are named after, replaced the national independence as the most celebrated day under Yahya Jammeh. The Jammeh rule is also remembered for its human rights violations, for which the Barrow government has established a commission of inquiry named the TRRC.
Yeah, that was Amadou Kante on that story regarding the July 22nd celebrations, as he mentioned in the report. As he mentioned in the report, the July 22nd, as we all know, it was a day when all the children, I'll say, were in a haste to go to Banjul and parade before the president. It was, a day known to be so much fun, celebrated with so much energy, but also on the other side, a day, viewed by many as when oppression really started in the Gambia, and when rights were being infringed on, when people had to let go of their freedom. That is actually the opinion of so many other people in the country, which of course is the reason, as he said in the report, why the Commission of Inquiry, the Truth, Reconciliation and Reparations Commission, was set, to look into the activities of the abuses that actually happened during the former regime of the former president Yahya Jammeh.
That's quite true, Fatis, because so say telling a hamantane mo hew si digante 22 years comme si suba tay ñu ko waxe moy lu fi jotta xew bari na ñeney dina bax ci ñom ñeney dina bon ci ñom, but li jotta xew ci 22 years ci Yaya Jammeh yi ci biir réew mi bari na torop lo xamantane comme nuñ ko dé waxe do xey suba rek génné Yaya Jammeh ci history Gambia, because lu bari xew na fi ci digante bobu te amna xew-xew bané amna xew-xew naxar ci ñeney nit te ñeney bané buñ ci am moy am nañ ci liggéey, am na ñoo xamantene ci lañ jaaré tekki, am na ñoo xamantene ci lañ jaaré am li nga xamantene mom lañ am na ñoo xamantene ci lañ jaaré ba tay ñu leena tudda suñ leen tuddé ci réew mi ñu xamné amon nañ ay nomba tanka ci réew mi, but am na ñoo xamantene suñ ko tuddé naxar la leen di fatali, suñ ko tuddé li nga xamantene mom lañ jaar ak mom fuñ fogné loolu lañ jaar ak mom du nekk li nga xamantene moy xelaati bané, comme niñ ko waxé comme tay ñu gisé ci li nga xamantene moy TRRC bi, li nga xamantene moy Dayda Haidara bi. Xam nga wa family Dayda Haidara mom duñ celebrate li nga xamantene moy July 22nd ak ñeneen motax ma ne la ne in two folds la ñëwé, ñi dina ñëw ak ñom bané, ñi dina ñëw ak ñom naxar.
Waaw, wax dëgg in the same vein, we have guests in the studio online, that we'll be talking to, that will also give us, an overview of the July 22nd, the celebrations, and of course the years after the celebration. We have Lamin Tamba in UK, the A.P.R.C. PRO in the diaspora. There's also Sundiata Keita, a militant of the A.P.R.C. who is currently in Copenhagen, Denmark. I say it as he said it, Copenhagen.
Welcome, gentlemen, to our studios.
All right, thank you very much.
Yes, thank you very much.
Okay, I think Lamin is on our screens right now. Welcome, Lamin.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, EyeAfrica TV, and all the viewers, the audience tuning in. Good evening. I hope we'll have a very good evening looking at Gambia, looking backwards to 1994, July 22nd, 1994. Thank you very much. I'll be talking about A.P.R.C's advancement in terms of taking the country from one level to the other. And if people feel okay to ask questions, fire them over. I'll be more than happy to share my experience or what I know about.
Don't worry about it. It's sure going to be a very tough one. You don't worry about that at all.
Yeah.
Okay. Mr. Tamba, mun nga ñëw wax rek soo déggee li nga xamantene mooy 1994 July 22nd la la sa xel dee daal soo déggee loolu noonu.
Right, July 22nd, me. Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Right. To me, July 22nd it represents a massive change. Forget who came in, who was the president, who wasn't the president. Growing up as a kid, I think I was in Form 3 high school, if I remember very well. And I think it was the last day of the year. And I went into the principal's office to collect my presents following the exams. And the principal told me what had happened that morning. And I think I went to the principal's office around about 11 or 12 noon. So he told me that there was an overthrow of the PPP government. As a kid, I was not the best informed kid, but I was a very well informed kid. I was involved in school debates, in topics surrounding governance, in topics surrounding development, in topics surrounding the books we read. So when the government changed, it didn't mean much to me at the time. As always, I was more interested in the presents that were in my hands than government changing. And then I went home. And then I started listening to the radio, a replay of somebody who's introduced himself as Yaya AJJ Jammeh, the chairman of the Provisional Armed Forces Provisional Ruling Council, and why they came in, why they had to kick PPP out. As a kid, as I listened to the first speech from the chairman and Radio Gambia translations, I was inspired, I have to be honest. I didn't know who Yaya Jammeh was. I didn't know what the shift of government was, because at the time Jawara was there. We thought everything was perfect. Jawara was perfect. He wasn't bad. If he left, who was going to run the country? Oh, hell. We can't have a Gambia without Jawara, we all thought. And then suddenly, young boys in their late 20s removed Jawara, the maestro, and then they started talking what people wanted to hear. And then they started backing up their words. And then it didn't make sense until the following year when I thought, hang on, something seems to be going right, because I started traveling around to combos and different places, going to Fonyi, where I come from originally. So for me, the shift wasn't significant as a kid. But from that moment on, looking back, what a significant shift our country took, mostly for the better. Mistakes were made. There's no president who came to office and left and didn't make mistakes. But today, A.P.R.C's legacy, A.P.R.C, which gave birth to A.P.R.C, the legacy is there, it's tangible. You cannot hide what the A.P.R.C done for the majority, 1.8 million Gambians. About 99.9% of them have benefited and are still benefiting from the event of July 22nd,
Mr. Tamba, you mentioned mistakes. If you're talking about mistakes, can you be specific at least, to tell us what mistakes you're actually referring to?
Well, I'll come to those. First and foremost, overthrowing a democratically elected government was not right in the first place. So that's mistake number one. When they came into government, rightly or wrongly, they thwarted an 11/11 supposed overthrow. Well, it's not supposed now, because the people who plotted and wanted to execute that overthrow confirmed that they actually wanted to kick the young soldiers out of State House. So they could have handled that better. And then 1995, the death of Koro Sise, I think could have been handled better. We don't know what the nitty-gritty, the full details of these things are. We just hear people saying one thing, and we hear the counterclaims. But then, 1990, soldiers promised 2 years transit. Well, first they said 4 years, and then they reduced it to 2. And then Yaya Jammeh stripped and contested and won the election. In my view, they should have continued for 4 years, weed out all the corrupt PPP heads, realign the country for development, and then gone back to the barracks. That would have been good. But then what they did in 2 years was so significant, so powerful. People didn't see this. Remember, Gambia's recorded history at the time was 432 years of governance. And the government before the young soldiers came, for 32 years, built no school, no hospital. The government was run for a few privileged kids, all the poor people. There was disease everywhere. Some of these diseases are history now because the A.P.R.C government eradicated them. So there's some things that happen, extrajudicial killings. Even if somebody was going to overthrow the government, but you arrested them, take them to court, However, we don't know what the circumstances are. According to the number 2 in the military junta, he said the attack was on and they had to go and deal with it. So one side says one thing, the other side says one thing. It's one man's word against another man's word. So those things I think could have been handled better, but who knows who's telling the truth. Going from that morphed into an A.P.R.C government, and what happened next is history. And you girls there sitting in that panel should be proud of what the A.P.R.C done for women empowerment especially. Women cannot complain about what A.P.R.C done. Obviously, if your family is affected, if you were personally affected, yes, I can understand that. Like I said to you, I'm not going to go into individual cases because I don't know what actually happened. The government says one thing,
all right.
Somebody says one thing, and the other side says another thing.
All right.
So who knows?
Mr.
Maybe
Kate,
these people who were actually wronged or not wronged were involved in something that you and I don't know. But I think with any given situation, you learn from the experiences, you get better.
Okay,
so the A.P.R.C did get better.
Okay, that takes me to Mr. Keita, Mr. Sundiata Keita. You are a prominent supporter of the A.P.R.C. Can you please tell us, of all the parties, of all the party leaders, what made you, go after A.P.R.C. even after, let me quote from Lamin Tamba's, the series of atrocities he's mentioned, of all the parties, why did you choose the A.P.R.C.,
Yeah. Assalamu alaikum. Come again. You said your question was what? You are far away.
Yeah, I was saying you're a prominent supporter of the A.P.R.C. I wanted to know, as a young Gambian, why didn't you choose from all the other parties? Noting into consideration some of the accusations that have been made on the, former regime's leader Yaya Jammeh, and of course on A.P.R.C. Why did you actually choose A.P.R.C. and not another party?
Okay, my affiliate, assalamu alaikum to everybody out there, and also thanks to EyeAfrica for having me. I'm very, very honored to be on this great program, and thank you for the good job that you guys are doing. Very, very proud of you people. So thank you for having me on this great program.
Thank you.
Now, first of all, my affiliation with the A.P.R.C came later on in my life. My love came for Yaya Jammeh in the first place. As most people knew, I was born in Denmark. So, but I have been traveling back and forward to the Gambia ever since 1992, and I was even sent back by my parents to join this to go to the Serekunda Primary School for some years and live with my father in the Gambia. That was in 1998, or was it 1999? And that was the time that I don't know. Do you get me loud and clearly?
Yeah, we're getting you.
Okay. Yes. So when I came to the Gambia in 1998. And I was the first time I visited the Gambia in 1992. I was 6 years old, so I was very young. But I remember some things. But from that time, and when I came back in 1998, it's from there that my father, he explained me what has happened in the Gambia. You have to understand that I was a young guy, like 11 years, 12 years old at that time. So my father, he was explaining me. I say, who is this guy on the picture? Then you would see Yaya Jammeh on billboards everywhere. So my father, he would explain me, who is Yaya Jammeh, and this is a young soldier who came. He was 29 years old, and because the Gambia was in mess, it was corruption, and the people have been there for many years and decades, and they have not done anything for the people. So my father, he explained me. So these people, they come from the army. They explained me that this is where my love come from. So ever since I've been a little boy, my father, he have printed the love for Yaya Jammeh in my heart. So that was, but I was a very young age at that time.
Okay.
So when I came to my later years, I became a teenager, and I started to engage in politics.
Okay.
It's from there that when I saw that I could realize that the differences that has been made since from the first time in '92 until '98. And even afterwards, I keep traveling back to Gambia every year. I saw development every time. Every time I saw new developments. The infrastructure, the healthcare. I remember the first time when I was in Gambia in 1992, we had family members who would die from malaria. You understand? Even to be treated for malaria was a big problem. Nowadays, you go to our healthcare, you get a blood test, you will get fixed in probably in 2-3 days. We had education system that rise up to the level before. When you came to the Gambia, I think 30 years ago, if you go and look at the statistics about where the people cannot read and write, and analphabetics. It was a big problem in Gambia until 1994. We started to have schools. We started. He built an education. And what's most importantly is that he sent the Gambians abroad for education abroad. And most importantly, it was not for one tribe only. What came in 1994, and that why we celebrate 1994, and why I respect 1994 as a day of celebration in our hearts and in our homes, is that it's the change that came with 1994. Because like Lamin Tamba was in on some of the points, and most of the people out there, they know me already. They have seen my work on online Facebook, so you can see that most of them what I'm promoting there is women have been promoted on the highest level. Women has been respected. They have been uplifted, and we have
the government into accountable. Mooy ñi nga xamanteni ñom understand typically lan mooy minini government ak government lan mooy liggéeyam ak fan la war a commencer ak fan la war a em ak yooyu so typical Gambian bi xamut loolu so da nga gis ne su ñëwee fekk ñu tali ko rek ñoom foog ñu tàccul la ne la diw bu mu fi nekkee la ñu defaral tali ñu ngi fi yaagaa nekk amuñ tali te xamuloo ne diw boobu noonu si sa xaalis turu yo tax yi nga fay si la ñoo defaree tali yooyu nga eewu suba ñu ne tabax nañ marché nga tàccu ne defal nañu marché defaral nañu te loolu noonu yëpp xamuñ ne responsibility government la pour mu defal ko li nga xamante ne mooy nitam yi askanam bi su ko defee moom it liñ ko fa tegee ñu gis ne at least nit mun ko mutal yëpp comme ni ko nit ñi de waxee yàlla rek moom mun lu nekk mu mutal ko waaye du doomi aadama waaye at least 70 wala 50% li nga xamante ne moom lañ la fa tegee soo ko defee di nga wàccoo ak li nga xamante ne mooy askan bi comme ay marché comme ay yoon ay hospital ay health sector bi education yooyu noonu yëpp is a matter of must pour government mu defal ko li nga xamante ne mooy askanam bi loolu lu am solo la yaakaar naa ne daal fu mu nekk ni Gambien si war nañoo gën a liggéey si li nga xamante ne pour yeete
so point bi nga laal dafa over sensitive, so that shows you the level of awareness of a lot of Gambians when it comes to awareness. Honestly, we're not moving really fast, so set a pace bit over slow, because even as of now they got improvement, but even as of now you talk to a lot of people and it's like so sad, because there are basic things that you need to know about your country's governance that a lot of people don't know, which is so sad. A lot of people don't even know the tax, what is the essence of the tax that they pay. They don't even know where it's going. All of those things basic la every Gambian war na ko xam to their fingertip. Yeah, waaye Mama Fall dina important torop ñu xool July 22nd bi fu mu doore naka la ñëwee ak reasons yu taxoon tamit ñu conduct loolu noonu di coup bi, although gars dañ dee bëgg a dégg di word coup, but it was actually a coup. Waaye dafa mel ni Mr. Tamba is back on the line. Hello, Mr. Tamba. Mr. Tamba. So yeah, like understand during the past regime, ñoom nag seen excuse bindee joxe as in reason bi lu tax ñu defoon coup bi mooy woon ne comme according to ñoom there was a lot of nepotism, corruption bi, and there was no development. But bëggoon naa Mr. Tamba moom as somebody who lived through the 80s to the 90s mu wax ñu moom is a good living witness, wax ñu according to moom witness na jamono mo dinañu mëna wax ndax actually all those things were happening, the development bi ñu ko doon waxee ak dunda bi ak nepotism bi ak corruption bi ndax it was actually the case ba nga xamante ne dina doon waral lii di military junta bi war a conduct loolu di ko bi waaye it seems ne we're having an issue to getting Mr. Tamba.
Waaw dafa mel ni ñëwaat na online.
Okay.
Mr. Tamba. Hello. Wow, but I think it's a bit technical issues, but they are sorting it out. Yaa ngi ñoo dégga?
Waaw, maa ngi la dégga. It's fine now.
Okay, di la jégalu si dog boobu noonu. Nawek ñoom def nañ seen mënin.
Waaw, Nawek.
Wow.
ñu ngi on and off.
def nañ seen mënin de.
Wow.
waaw yaa ngi woon fu am solo.
So, dégg ma woon sa question because network bi baa ngi doon break up.
Wow.
Wow. So I was saying, you as somebody that lived through the 80s to the 90s, you must have witnessed a great part of the Jawara's regime. I know the excuse that the military junta was fond of using as to why they actually committed the coup was because there was a lot of nepotism, corruption, and there wasn't any development.
Yes.
Can you be, are you a witness to that? Are you a witness to that? What was it like? Was that really the case?
I'll tell you a lot more than just nepotism and corruption.
Okay.
So I was a kid growing up in the countryside. And when I was a kid growing up, there were lots of things that weren't going right during the PPP regime. In fact, my older brothers all suffered because of lack of places, enough high schools in the country for people to go to school.
Okay.
So some people got the common entrance cutoff mark, but they couldn't go to high schools because there were very few high schools. I think just about 5 in the country. Gambia High, St. Augustine, St. Joseph's, New Strat, and there was St. Peter's.
Okay.
Okay? And those high schools were pretty much taken before the poor kids who weren't connected even got a chance to apply and go to those high schools, because the rich people and their children went to either St. Augustine's or Gambia High or New Strat or St. Joseph's. And some of them went to St. Peter's.
Okay.
So if you were from the countryside and you had great marks, not only did you have a problem finding a place at high school, any high school in the combos, secondly, you had a problem finding a guardian if you don't know anyone or your relatives didn't live downtown.
Okay.
Thirdly, you had a problem paying fees to go to high school. Yeah?
Okay.
So that was number one problem. And PPP regime was punctuated by constant famine. Food was running out constantly. I remember my uncle used to live in Brikama, and Brikama people at some point resorted to eating what they call jambanduro, maganaso rather. Yeah?
Okay.
And people in the 40s, people like me, kids growing up, had to eat a lot of locally available stuff like jambanduro, or eating kocha or bisab, or eating some other things that we could readily find. My parents used to go and queue up for rice, and rice will run out. And when rice runs out, they bring flour, and flour will run out, and they go home empty-handed, no food. So there were constant food shortages. There was rampant disease like measles, mumps, polio, and yellow fever, diseases that were easily preventable, and TB was rampant those days.
Okay.
Malaria was rampant those days. Malaria is still a problem, but yellow fever is almost history. Polio is history. Mumps is almost history. Measles is almost history. Younger generations don't know this. And I can tell you what, when Kukoi's war, PPP's war, started in 1981 in the Gambia, I was about 2 years, but I can vividly remember my dad picking me up, putting me on my shoulders, taking me to the border villages of Casamas and going back to fight and defend our poorhouse and to fight and defend the region, because what they heard was happening and what was actually happening on the ground were different.
Okay.
And then my dad had to go back and fight and defend. So what happened after that, because I spoke to my granddad, was part of the field force then. So he told me a lot of what PPP did, which was ridiculous. PPP itself went through 3 recessions and a depression, and they had to have an economic recovery program instituted by them and the IMF to bail Gambia out of a predicament, serious one. So those days, school was a problem, health was a serious problem, feeding was a problem, communication, there was only one road that cut the Gambia from Serekunda to Passe, and that road was cockle shells. It was white cockle shells. If you are too young, you will not know. There's white cockle shells. Every rainy season, the road got destroyed by rain. People from Combo South, people from North Bank, people from Sierra, most of them, all those areas you couldn't go. There was no proper road in the Gambia at all, apart from Banjul to Serekunda, and that was Banjul to Westfield only. Even that road that today was upgraded by Gambia,
Wow.
A.P.R.C and A.P.R.C. So there was no road in the Gambia. High schools were very few and far between. Literacy rate was about 20%. We're talking about 75, 80% now. This is how far we've come. There were no street lights, no traffic lights. I'm telling you the basics. No university, no TV, and high school was a luxury for many kids. The rich people, the ministers and their children was going to holiday in the United States and the United Kingdom and other places. Nobody in the Gambia.
Lamin ñu ngi dégg ngay lim ay lim yoo xamante ne comme ni koy ñàkk li nga xamante ne mooy woon lekka si dëkk bi am na ñoo xamante ne ay kucca ay bisaab ay yooyu leen doon lekka ndaxte lekka dafa meloon ni doom bu góor si réew mi ba tax nga lim tamit ay feebar yu mel ni ay malaria ay polio ak yooyu noonu ndaxte foog nga ne bu jaame ñëwee yi nga doon lim noonu yëpp jeex na fi ba pare su fi jeexee naka la fi jeexee yaa ngi wax tamit ay yoon am na ñu bëri gëm nañ ne international bi ñu si dugal seen xaalis pour yoon yi nga wax ni yëpp ñu tàlle lu mel ni AU summit bi fi amoon ak yooyu nu mu demee gis nañ fi tamit Jaane commission bi corruption bi nga lim ni yëpp feeñ na foofu noonu fooguloo ne li nga lim ni yëpp bi dañ ko modernise rek
mun ngaa wax ne dañ ko modernise the same thing PPP loolu lañ waroon na def dañ war na modernise lu British yi bàyyoon si suñu dëkk bés bu PPP jëloon suñu nguur gi from 1962 until the day they got kicked out benn school rek lañ samp benn school benn hospital sampuñ ko sampuñ benn tali bu fa nekkoon sa tali British yi boobu lañ sampo pour dem inland pour jëli seen bagage to export them to United Kingdom or United States. So PPP want to upgrade all these things. Therefore, man, public health officer law on, man don't ligue medical and health services. The Buma don't have some history at the School of Public Health. Then part of your training is it's compulsory for you place like during school breaks at the medical and health services program serve department because School of Public Health was funded for free. So we had to work during the school break. Dañ daan am pour liggéey so man mun naa laa explain naka lañ mu ne pour éradiquer some of these jàngoro yi éradiquer comme polio dañ amoon massive polio campaign and I was one of the team leaders during that time massive polio campaign massive MMR is basically mumps, measles, rubella dañ amoon boobu campaign yellow fever tam the same TB the same dañ amoon a TB control program communicable disease control program. I'm on another non-communicable disease control program. I'm the A.P.R.C. PPP for
Sundiata, okay.
We like to have 1 million.
Sundiata, you've heard all that Lamin said. He's mentioned, he was trying to cite the difference between the PPP government and the Jammeh government. Obviously, as we asked him, the PPP, the Jammeh government writer is fond of using that as an excuse, saying that it was because of nepotism, corruption, and the low level of development that was here in the Gambia during the Jawara regime, saying that is the reason why they, actually committed the coup.
Yes. Of course, because if you look at the situation since the independence or so-called Independence Day, as I would like to call it, you look at a country that we were invaded by, then they are the invaders. They are the one who set up that puppet government that they call that the Jawara and all of those people and the first government of Gambia. In reality, that government was a puppet government to the invaders of the colonial masters. In reality, so in reality, we wasn't free. We haven't. That's not real independence. And if you look at it, because I will come to my point. Because if you look at it, for 30 years we have been seeing Jawara and all his ministers, like Lamin Tamba said, they have been sending their children to various countries and various private schools that cost millions.
But don't you think the Jammeh government is just a spice to the injury?
Please let me get to my point. Because if you look at it for 30 years. And all their white friends, if you look at Jawara, he has been sitting there and and had a great friendship with the Queen of England, the most powerful woman in the most rich country in the world. And he had a friendship like this. They were together like this. We have seen the pictures. We have seen the friendship they had. What did he bring back to the Gambia with all those powerful friends that they had in 30 years? They did not do anything. So when you look at it, when you look at what Yahya Jammeh did in only 2 years, and he did more in 2 years than what Jawara's government did in 30 years. This is what we have to understand. Of course, when you look at it, yes, there were some mistakes. You have to understand this this is young military guys from, you know, Yaya Jammeh was 29 years old. It's a very young age. You understand? It's a very, very young
Mr.
age. You still have a lot of things to learn. But
Mr.
the problem is, it's not only Yaya Jammeh and the junta who was
yes, Mr. Keita, don't you think these mistakes in the expenses of some lives lost in is two-way of a mistake?
Of course, I say one life. I used to say one life lost is one life too much, because I'm a Muslim, and of course I will an execution and death penalty. I'm against it in all sectors, unless if you come and if you have a correct Islamic Sharia law where it's the law of Allah, then yes, I can agree to it, because that's what Allah says. But when you have a dictatorship or democracy or whatever, I'm not in for death penalty. Yes, I agree to that. But what we also have to understand is that it's not like that these young militant guys, they came out and they start arresting people just like that, and they start slaughtering people because of their political affiliation or because of their tribal affiliation. It's not that people who were arrested and felt the force of the new government was people, you know, there was people who it was opportunists, I can say, because if you look at it, people like BP Dabo, now we are seeing him, the former vice president, coming out saying, yeah, you know, I used to be with the junta, I was there with them for 70 days, and then I left them. He said that he was there for 70 days. Most of those people, they were there because they're thinking, okay, now I was close to the government, there's a military coup here, or whatever they call it, there's a military coup here, now they see their chance. They used the junta to get into, like Bibi Dabo, he tried to use the junta to become president of Gambia. Within those 70 days, when he realized that he would not be president, it's from there he ran away. He started talking nonsense, he started talking crap, like many of the other opportunities that we saw around those areas. So we have to understand that many of the people, my heart and my prayers goes out to all the families, the family of Koro Sise and all of the people who lost their lives from, not only from 94 and up to date. Why not we talk about what happened since 65? Why not we talk about that? Because my heart goes out to all those families as well, who felt the suffering and you know, the poor standard of living because of the mishandling of funds by that government. Yes, my heart goes out to those people who lost their lives. So we have to also play by the rules and be fair. Because
are you still a fan or a militant of A.P.R.C. after hearing all these revolutions unfolding from the imagine from the TRRC and the Janneh Commission? Are you still a prominent fan or a militant?
Listen. I'm not a fan or I'm not a militant. The words that we are using, this is not a movie. So I cannot be a fan. We are not a fan club. I'm not a fan or whatever. What the things that we used to say. Listen, I'm a loyal supporter to my country, and I know that by my education and my studies of Gambian politics and other politicians around the world, have been traveling around the world. It's not only Africa. I've been around the world, and I have seen governance. But really, Yaya Jammeh, he was a good leader for this country. I'm not saying he's perfect.
I'm gonna come right there, Mr. Keita. I'm gonna come right there. Yes, you mentioned he's a very good leader. Don't you think? Yes, he had really great ideas, but don't you think along the line he somehow lost his sense of direction?
No, I don't, because if you look at Gambians, we ourselves also, we are very, very wicked, and we are not easy people to rule over. You understand? Gambians, we can be very, very wicked as well, and we are very, very stubborn. We are stubborn people. You understand? We are not easy. Gambians are not easy to control. You have to understand. And this is not Europe. This is Africa. We have another. You have to understand that in Africa or in the Arab world or in South America, there's different ways of how you govern your people.
One have to be a dictator in order to achieve. That's what you're trying to say.
You say what?
One have to be a dictator in order to achieve. That's what you're trying to say?
I'm trying to say that, yeah, something like that. What I'm trying to say is that, like His Excellency, the former president, like he used to say, that no matter what, we cannot live like them, and they cannot live like us. You understand? And for me, Alhamdulillah, Allah, He blessed me with the two of the finest worlds. You understand? He gave me the possibility not only to see the Gambia or not only to see Europe. I have seen both parts of the world, so I can see. I really see the good things in Yaya Jammeh's government. And really, to be honest, he put Gambia on the map. He left Gambia on the map, and And he gave the Gambians dignity. He really, really made me proud of being a Gambian. Whenever I went out in the world talking to people, they would say, "Where are you from?" I would tell them, "I'm Gambia." Isn't that there the president with homosexuals? And already there we have the discussion. I have been debating people since day one. So the TRCC cannot strip me away from our law, from our Jami. And also, before you cut me to Lamin Tamba, I just want to say also, and that goes all to all the people out there. Listen, the TRCC or whatever they do, because these people, they have done nothing for the Gambia. 2.5 years in power, they have done nothing for the Gambia. What they are doing, what have they done for the Gambia is talking about Yaya Jammeh. The hundreds and millions of dollars they have spending by talking about Yaya Jammeh, they could have upgraded Gambia 3 times for that money.
Okay.
Now you see, I told people 2 years
Mr.
ago that
Keita,
people would be
Mr.
fighting for
Keita.
power. Now today we are seeing they are using all their money.
Certain
His
commissions.
Excellency Adama Barrow and former Vice President Hussein Odabo, they're fighting for power. Like I said 2 years ago, I said those people, they will wind up fighting for power. And now what is happening? We are the Gambians, we are left to suffer. We are divided.
Mr. Keita, we will definitely come back to that, because please don't jump before they're gone. We will definitely come back to that. Let's now engage Mr. Tamba. Mr. Tamba, you have heard all what Mr. Keita said. Have you seen any changes in the Jammeh's regime that has made good impact in the livelihood of Gambians?
Sorry, are you comparing Jammeh to PPP or are you comparing Jammeh to Barrow?
No, not Barrow. We haven't come to that yet. I mean the whole
Okay,
22
so,
years in general.
Yeah, I mean, there has been serious change. I mean, if you're young, I feel sorry for you because you can't compare Jammeh with anyone else. We thought Barrow will come and make a massive difference, but Barrow has failed woefully. So let's go back again.
Yeah, we will come.
Like
We will come to
Sundiata
Barrow.
said.
We will come to Barrow. But
Yep,
just as she said,
Sundiata
that
stated.
you know earlier you mentioned the establishment of schools, of medicines. But it's one thing to have infrastructures and another thing to have what really matters in those infrastructures. When it comes to education, it's one thing to have a school built, and it's another thing to have quality education. When it comes to health, it's one thing to build a hospital, but another to have proper medication from those hospitals, which was really a difficult thing, even during the Jammeh regime, which we all have to admit, because we all go to hospitals and we all know what's in those hospitals. You go to hospitals. You go to hospitals, although there's free consultation, but then you always have to be referred to a pharmacy where you have to spend a fortune over medication as a Gambian citizen.
Indeed, absolutely. Building hospital walls or school walls alone without equality is something else. However, we have to understand where we're coming from. We have to understand our budget. We have to understand that our country is not endowed with many natural resources. We have some, not adequate. However, after 432 years of governance and having just Christian missionary schools and schools left here by colonial rule, having a government show Gambians that yes, we can build a school which is more beautiful than the Methodist primary school. We can build a school more beautiful, bigger than Gambia High School. All these are inspirational things. Sometimes you got to show people that you believe. In fact, when these soldiers came, one of their first very, very iconic statements were, "Sky's the limit, sky's the limit, sky's the limit." The young boys, the young girls started believing. They started showing people that things can be achieved. Remember, this is what I always say to Gambians who are over 30, or actually over 35. Because if you were just over 30, you wouldn't have known anything within 5 years of the 5 years before Jammeh came. But if you're over 35, you would have seen a significant shift in the country.
Okay, Mr. Tamba, you keep saying their words were the sky is the limit. Of course, the sky is the limit for some that disappeared along the way.
Yeah. It will disappear because sometimes we like, as Gambians, we like creating problems and pointing the finger at the president, which is true. The buck always stops with the president. But we've got to look at ourselves closely, very, very closely. I remember a few contracts during Jammeh's first days that were the contracts were offered and contractors kept on defaulting and they kept on defaulting, and then you have to keep sacking people and giving contracts to other people. You remember? So sometimes we've got to look at ourselves. He's built the schools. We need to take the next step. The teaching facilities had to go up. The government can do that, but considering that our government we haven't got resources. The man has tried and built the structures. The next step is to improve the facilities and the teaching and learning environment. We didn't do that. So that message eventually is going to erode. Secondly, he had so many things to do: schools, hospitals, roads.
And you actually mentioned that the budget didn't allow them to, perhaps create room for quality education and create room for proper medication. But then the budget was, good enough to be hosting shows every now and then at Kanilai and inviting international artists into the country, right?
Yeah, well, that's again, when I spoke about a few mistakes.
Or is that another mistake? Aren't the mistakes really becoming too much?
It seems...
Okay, it seems we lost Tamba, but I think we can as well, direct that question to Mr. Sundiata Keita.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, I'm sure you heard that question right, or should I say it again?
You people are very far away from me. You understand, and I cannot watch it live because we are behind a couple of seconds.
Okay. So Mr. Tamba mentioned because of the the short budget or the inadequate or insufficient budget, there was no room for proper education, for proper medication in hospitals. But of course, so I wanted to know if the budget actually allowed them, if the budget was wide enough for there to be shows every now and then in Kanilai, inviting international artists in the country. It seems the budget was good enough to have all these things in place.
100%. And also, that was also the topic of the day at one point when we heard that His Excellency he used to give some Senegalese artists some cash. That was a reality that he gave some Senegalese artists some cash. But also the reality is that what a guy does with his own money is not our problem. I understand that you have to understand that if you have been a president for some time, you must have some
I'm gonna come right there.
Where is the evidence that this money was used from taxpayers' money?
We all know the history of
There is
Jammeh.
no evidence of that.
We all know the history of Jammeh, right? We know where he came from, and we all know when he was coming into power, he didn't have much. And so I actually want to know where Jammeh had actually gotten all that amount of money, to enable him to do all that hosting, hosting international artists, giving them a whole sum of cash and all.
Okay, now what you have to understand is that there are some things that I don't want to speak about here. Because as we know that the TRCC is going, I'm not going to talk about any killings, about people who have been killed like the Koro Sise case. I'm not going to talk about it because we have ongoing cases. I'm not going to jeopardize people's, privacy or whatever because we don't know what's going on. And also, with the funds of Yahya Jammeh, we have seen that the government has frozen some of his assets. When you become a president, first of all, you become a brand. This is what people don't understand. Many people don't. You have to really understand politics to understand this as well. Because when you become a president, that's the day you become a brand as well. And we can find, for example, a president can go out and find investors in his name, not in the country's name, but in his own name. It's very, very easy for a head of state to find investors to invest in his name.
So those were some of the things that he was doing, huh?
No, but because what we have to understand also that when you become a president, of course he was into businesses. Who said it was illegal to make money? This is what all Gambians want, even you and me, sister. Now let's not try to fool ourselves. We all want a good life. We all want what is best for our family. We all want nice things. We all want a stable life. This is what all Gambians look for, because we are dying in the sea. We die in the sea trying to get a better life. So let's not blame Yahya Jammeh for getting a high position. We all know when you get a high position in government, your salary is so high. that even when you work 1 year, 1.5 years, you can invest that money in something else that makes your money, that has nothing to do with politics or nothing to do with your job, but you have the amount of cash to invest in something else. So whatever Yahya Jammeh he spent his presidential salary on, and his investors, what people invested, private invested, we don't know. But what he invested, we cannot. It's not up to us. It's up to him. And secondly, if you look at Adam Barrow also, what about his Majnoom estate property? That place has developed from a fuller shop. Before he came to power, that Majnoom estate property building was a fuller shop. Now it's a 2-3 story building. Where is his wealth? He said that he was a businessman and this and that. But reality is he was a security guard in Argo. I think that we should ask Lamin Tamba that the salary in
Mr. Keita,
as
I think
Argo security, where did Adam Barrow get his salary from?
Okay,
Where did he
I think with time
they are buying houses and lands in their villages, in their native cities. So let's play by the rules, sister, please, because you cannot just say that he looted, like people are saying he looted the state coffers. Where is the evidence? Where is the evidence? We Gambians, we are all looking for success in life. So let's not just blame one guy because he was the owner of the way. Yes.
Things are so clear that every Gambian know exactly what was happening here. Even those outside the Gambia knows what was happening here. But the Jammeh Commission that just concluded has evidence that Jammeh looted more than $1 billion.
And who set up the Jammeh Commission and the TRCC Commission? And you have to understand that the people who are the people behind the scenes of those new coming shows and drama series that we are now seeing called TRCC and you know the Jammeh Commission, all of those things. We have also, maybe you said that we all know the truth. Which truth? There's many people who have come there, they don't want to testify. People have been lying there. People have been coming there with self-interest. I'm not going to name any names and draw this conversation further, but let's just say that people have been coming far away, you know, admitting to things, lying just to make a good name out of themselves, coming back, trying to join politics again. They are seeing a way into power. So, you know, to me, this is not a real. This is not the way we find the truth. The way we can find the truth, my suggestion is that we go back and we do like Rwanda, not like South Africa. South Africa is a totally different place from Gambia. You cannot compare South Africa to any country in Africa because of the situation that they are in. But what we can do, we can compare the Gambia to Rwanda, because in Rwanda, even though that the atrocities there, of course, I'm not comparing the atrocities, I'm not comparing the situation, but we can compare the truth and reconciliation reparation there, because what they did is that they took both the victim and the oppressor. They left them together, not to go in and put in a courtroom for everybody to come and see and to make the people confused. No, they put the perpetrator and they put the victim together to sit there and speak, let them work together. You know, this was a program set up by the government, which had a significant improvement in the society and helped a lot to, you know, reconcile the people there, because there was one woman, you know.
I'm gonna switch to Mr. Tamba now. Mr. Tamba, I want to know how you people as a party are coping with the ongoing revelations at the TRRC. How is the party going along with all these revelations? Are you discussing it as a party, or what is going on? Can you please enlighten us?
Well, we inevitably will have to discuss them as a party. There's no way stuff like that is going to come out without us sitting and looking at the strategy, looking at the whole issue from top down. We have got issues with TRRC, and the parties made that absolutely clear from the beginning. TRRC was set up by people and then employed people in the commission, people who had issues with the A.P.R.C. government, people who had personal issues with the Yahya Jammeh government, and TRRC itself, in any other country in the world, TRRC today will not come up with any case that will be respected by any law court in the world. Yeah. So I'll tell you the reasons why. In any country in the world.
We really wanted to know why.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you. The revelations are certainly distressing. If they were true, they are distressing, and some of these things have happened. And I'll tell you why the TRRC shouldn't hold any water, and any case that comes from there, and any challenge any of the witnesses wants to put forward, all they have to do, if they get found guilty of anything, they need to initiate a judicial review. Because in any court, any case that sits before court, and TRC is a court, it's been empowered by the High Court. It's a section of the High Court. Okay? Itself cannot find people, but they cannot find. And if you go against the TRC and you have no immunity, the TRC can actually instigate some legal proceedings through the High Court. So, if it's a court case, and you got people who actually have beef with you, the chairman of the TRC, had beef with you. We heard one of the witnesses describe how much fake news the newspaper was churning out. Your newspaper was churning out. Okay, we've heard how one of the witnesses in the TRC, her mother is one of the members of the TRC, and she's also related or good friends with Senator, one of the chief witnesses at TRC. One of the lead investigators at the TRC had beef with the even picked up guns to go to the in any law court, any legal system, any jurisprudence in the world, you cannot have anyone sitting on your case if they had any sort of interest, financial, personal, community, or at any level. If that person had any personal interest, even by proxy, to a case before you, that person has to recuse themselves. So the Commission of Inquiry, Ami Bensouda was Yahya Jammeh's solicitor, was Yahya Jammeh's lawyer. They worked together. There are allegations that she actually had power of attorney from Yahya Jammeh, which meant she can carry out legal proceedings on behalf of Yahya Jammeh. How can that lady sit on a case that has something to do with Yahya Jammeh? There are allegations that the Jani guy also worked for the junta before, or helped the junta, or what, I don't know what happened.
So okay? Are you questioning the credibility of both commissions?
Oh yeah, by massive conflict of interest. And in any legal setting, if you have one conflict of interest, you cannot sit on that case. I'll tell you an example. I don't know if you heard about Grenfell fire in London. The first commissioner that was picked to sit on the public inquiry at the Grenfell Tower was just an auditor to the firm that was supposed to go and investigate the Grenfell fire. Just an auditor to the firm. So I'm an auditor for a company. Let's say I'm an auditor for TRC, and TRC was going to go and investigate Yahya Jammeh. I cannot sit in that case, and anyone I know in that company cannot sit on that case investigating Yahya Jammeh. And this is legal. This is legal practice everywhere in the world. If you have an interest in a case, you cannot sit on that case. Any evidence found in that case or any proceedings, and you initiate a judicial review, that case will collapse flat on the floor. But we know that this government, the current government, is not interested in real justice. They are skipping the witnesses. They haven't called the DOI witnesses, the head of DOI, as they did to Dabo. They haven't called any A.P.R.C executive yet, as they did to Dabo. They called everyone else, and there were people who were active in politics under the A.P.R.C before Dabo became a leader of UDP.
One of the A.P.R.C names was there.
Pardon?
One of A.P.R.C names was there, that lady. She testified.
Which A.P.R.C name testified?
Yes.
The ex-A.P.R.C name you're talking about?
Yes.
Right, so that's not, is she still active in the A.P.R.C party?
That I'm not sure of.
All right, I don't think she is. So again, that's besides the point. If you want people to give you respect, run the law in accordance with fundamental standards of jurisprudence, you have to make sure there is no iota or no shred of doubt, no doubt in any law court, especially when it comes to criminal proceedings. They always tell you, you have to prove beyond reasonable doubt, otherwise your case is thrown out. And this TRC and the Commission of Inquiry had people with conflict of interest. They had interest in the proceedings. Their findings will be found wanting, and they will find it difficult to go across the first order.
One like Mr. Ture was brought to the commission, but he refused to testify. So a chance was given to them to testify on their own case.
Yeah, Mr. Ture is a unique case. Mr. Ture is one of the junta guys, council members, who turned up at the TRC, with the TRC knowing fully well what his constitutional status was. They called him there to go and testify. Yes, they can charge Mr. Ture for murder if murder is not covered by Mr. Ture's constitutional immunity. But Mr. Toure's constitutional immunity is superior to the TRRC. They couldn't have called him to go and testify to the TRRC because of the constitutional immunity, which, by the way, has been there since 1997 and is entrenched. Murder, whether it's covered by the immunity, is the question now. And that's the question I'm still waiting to be answered, whether
Mr.
murder...
Tamba, talking about Yankuba Toure, of course, I'm going to drag you back to the year when the junta took over the country. You know, the initial agreement with the people was 2 years, as you mentioned. So could you actually clarify, was it a question of greed or a question of not having confidence in the people that they could have left the country in, as to why they actually didn't hand over power in 2 years and went ahead and ruled for 22 years?
Yeah, you know what, there's a combination of things. I'll tell you what happened in the first place. They took over and they said they were going to stay there for 4 years to clean up the corrupt PPP heads. They're going to remove all those people who stagnated Gambia's progress or stagnated the country because there was no progress.
So why didn't they do that as said before?
Yeah, they said 4 years. That's what they agreed first. And then people said, no, 4 years transition is too long. And then they reduced it to 2 years. But because of their performance in that 2 years...
So what happens to 2 years that turns to 22 years?
Well, again, this is where we're talking about Gambians now. People went round. I think at the end of the day, Yahya Jammeh could have just said, look, you know what, I know you guys endorsed us for what we've done in the last 2 years, but we're going to go back to the barracks. But people went round, convinced them whatever happened, or whether the soldiers actually went and gathered that support from people.
Was it the people that tried to convince them, or was it the other way around? Were they trying to force people to accept them?
I think it's both. But if I were the chairman then, and I had convictions that I wanted to go back to the army, I would have handed over, regardless of how much begging was coming from the people. But we did see crowds of people begging the man, telling him to strip because of what they had done in 2 years was too great for him to go back and leave the stuff. And I think 2 years was not enough for them to get rid of the 33 years of PPP. They needed, I think the 4 years that they set was just about right. They should have stuck with the 4 years. After 4 years, go back to the barracks. Because 2 years to clean up what PPP was. The country was rotten. Trust me, the country was in a depression before the soldiers took over.
Can we try and compare and contrast that to the current regime? Can we say that 3 years too is not enough for Barrow to try and clean up the alleged mess that A.P.R.C has left in the country?
Well, Barrow can claim that A.P.R.C was a mess. Barrow needs to point out what mess A.P.R.C left the country in, because since he come in, unlike the young soldiers, when they come in, they showed people what mess it really was, because they started building stuff and institutionalizing stuff and bringing about discipline. So Barrow needs to tell us what he's done differently, positively. When the young soldiers came, you didn't have to ask, because you started seeing tarmac. Bundung Highway, I think, was their first road they built. Yeah, from Serakunda to Latrikunda, they built that. And then the rest was history. They built the North Bank Highway. They laid foundation stone for a primary school after 3 months.
But Barrow built a mansion in Mankamakunda.
You see, it took Yahya Jammeh 10 to 15 years before he laid the foundation stone to his house in Kanilai. Barrow came within 3, 4, 5 months. His mansion started springing up. Within 3, 4 months, his son was in a university in the United States. It took Jammeh years to get to that.
I am actually surprised that you are talking like this about Barrow, because there have been rumors that the A.P.R.C is actually planning to form a coalition with Barrow.
No, the coalition will be formed based on truth. You see what the problem, what the coalition 2016 had, it was formed based on pretense and rigging and many other things that happened before they selected Barrow. Because I cannot quite believe, in Dr. Bojan's presence, in Halifa Salah's presence, they went and picked Barrow.
Let's just pick this caller, and then we'll come back to you, please.
Okay, sure.
Okay, hello, caller.
Yes, caller. Yes, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Good evening, and where are you calling us from, and what is your name, please?
Anyway, I'm calling from Finland.
Okay. What's your name, please?
Yes. Ibrahim Sise.
Okay, Mr. Sise, we are all ears.
Yes. I just want to tell this boy that he don't know the history of Gambia.
Which boy?
Which of the boys?
Lamin Tamba and that other man. I don't know their name. I don't even want to know their name.
Okay, Tamba and Sundiata.
Yes.
Okay.
he don't know the history of Gambia. He was saying that Gambia, these people has built only one school. Jawara built only one school, and there was no road. Did Lamin Tamba understand that during colonial time, the road end only in combos? Don't you know that?
He's listening to you.
Tell-
Just carry on.
Yeah. Tell him to go back to the history book and read. You know, most of these people are talking, they don't understand. When Yahya Jammeh came, he just talked to them, brainwash their heads, they don't understand anything. The only thing, if you listen to them, the only thing they will tell you is what Yahya Jammeh was telling people. That other man is saying that the president, he don't know how he get his money. That makes sense. And he's telling you he traveled the world. Which world did he go to?
Okay.
My sister, I think you people are wasting your time and your energy on such things. Let's discuss something important, please. I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you very much for your contribution.
Thank you very much, caller. I think we now proceed to Lamin. You have had that caller from UK.
Yeah.
Sanebola.
What did he say what happened in Combos? What did he say happened in Combos? I couldn't hear what he said happened in the Combos.
He said, you don't know the history of Gambia.
Yes.
Because
the history of the Gambia, does he want me to die and come back again and live?
Mr. Tamba.
Okay. Yeah, listen, the history of the Gambia, I lived it. I don't have to go to, listen, Radio Gambia itself was called Radio Combo because as soon as you go past Pirang, where he comes from, it starts getting scrambled signals. It gets fuzzy. You don't hear anything. Radio Gambia was upgraded to cover the length and breadth of the country by the junta. And it became national radio. Not only did it become national radio, we had a television. What kind of history is this guy telling me? The PPP, BB Dabo himself, just last week, admitted PPP didn't build a single school, but they provided subvention to the Christian missionary schools. What is he telling me? What kind of history, again, is better than what BB Dabo said last week? Go and listen to BB Dabo. He said, oh, just like what you mentioned earlier, oh, they built schools, but there was no quality education. Or they built hospitals, but there's no medicine. Listen, my friend. I don't listen to what Yahya Jammeh tells me. I lived it. My dad was in the queues waiting for food to be bought. Couldn't buy food. Yeah? Hospitals were there. People were getting funny legs and funny hands because of polio. People were getting sick left, right, and center. I worked as a public health officer. I can't change the figures. When Yahya Jammeh came, the health service, the outreach program became the second in Africa. I was there. I don't have to read the books. The only thing I had to read is the detail of the carnage, the murder of people in 1981 when the coup d'etat happened, and 1982, the death of prisoners in Mile 2 because of an outbreak of disease. I can tell you these things. I lived it. I've seen it. I went to high school. Luckily, I didn't have to look for a guardian in Combo because a high school was built in Buyam just as I'd done my common entrance. After that, lots of schools sprung up from everywhere. BB Dabo said this, no hospital, no school, but what's the point in building a school with no quality education? What's the point in building a hospital with no quality? Yahya Jammeh cannot brainwash me. When Yahya Jammeh came out in Form 3 High School, doing very well, thank you. When Yahya Jammeh was in power, changed into a civilian government, I finished my high school with flying colors. He can't brainwash me. When Yahya Jammeh was there, I had advances to join the government. I refused because I had something else that I was chasing. Not because I didn't like it, but I had things that were going on that I wanted to pursue first.
Okay.
So this guy doesn't have a clue what he's talking about.
Yes, many believe that with all the achievements you're saying, ranging from the schools he built and the hospitals and then the road infrastructure and all that, one life matters more.
Absolutely. I agree with that 100%. However, this is what you have to understand. If you do the science of governance, you have to understand that government is about statistics. Government is about what you've done better, differently from the previous government. So now, let's say Yahya Jammeh, for instance, if it's true that he actually ordered the killing of all those people that died, the UN puts the figure at 51, okay? Because the UN investigated and wrote a report in 2013 and put the figure at 50. Let's say he's done that. What did PPP do? Do you know anything about 1981, 1982?
No.
Okay, I'll tell you now, quickly. In 1981, some rebels attacked and overthrew Jawara. They actually succeeded in overthrowing him. All right? And then within 3 days, they ordered the Senegalese army to come and reinstate Jawara, which they succeeded in doing with the help of some foreign military security services, notably Britain's security service, secret services. They reinstated them. After that, the PPP commanded the Senegalese army to go on the rampage, to kill people indiscriminately. Anyone they saw who was NCP or seemed to sympathize with Moja. Moja used to be the critical movement that was giving Jawara government problems. Yeah? Anyone that seemed to be NCP, notable NCP, or somebody who was an advisory to PPP, didn't like PPP, they arrested in suspicion of being involved in the coup or sympathizing with the coup.
Can you give us few names that you're saying? Just few names.
You have Pengu George, you have Danso, you have Salah, you have Sila. In fact, one of the Doi guys and his wife were picked up for the same thing. They jailed them, yeah? And when they jailed them, they sold their house. That's the Sila guy. Sam.
Yeah.
No, Sam.
Mr. Tamba, we seem to have another caller on the line. We'll just take him and come back to you shortly. Hello, caller. What's your name and where are you calling from? What's your contribution to the show?
Good evening. My name is Nyang Jai, and I'm glad you have Mr. Lamin Tamba online. Lamin Tamba is very passionate about his ideals, which I respect in the New Gambia, but his ideals must be premised on reality, not emotions. Okay. I think, yes, the PPP government has a lot of shortcomings. Are you calling
his ideas unrealistic?
Well, I'm just saying his premise is not logical but very emotional, and that is the problem that many Gambians have in support of Yahya Jammeh. You see, it's unconscionable for any Gambian to say that development of this country is good enough when people paid with their blood. We have a lot of Gambians who got killed by Yahya Jammeh and his henchmen, and I don't care whether he built roads that are paved with gold or what, but that's not the development Gambians wanted. And better yet, Yahya Jammeh, in a nutshell, has fooled Gambians, has deceived Gambians, and above all, he has fooled Gambians, he has deceived Gambians, and above all, he has looted and maimed our citizens. You cannot call yourself a patriot when you kill your own. You cannot call yourself a patriot when you loot from the coffers of a poor country like Gambia. So for anyone to stand up and tell me that Yahya Jammeh is a great human being, something must be morally wrong with your moral compass.
Okay.
Or you have to really do a fact check. But if we are being emotional, yes, we will associate with Yahya Jammeh based on affinity, and affinity means either tribal or social. Some people are linked to Yahya Jammeh because they relate tribally. Some people link to Yahya Jammeh because of the rhetoric he has been selling since 1994 by telling them that there's a group of Gambians who has made their lives miserable. But I will tell my brother Lamin Tamba that if he is a good follower of economics, he will realize that when Yahya Jammeh took over the Gambia, Gambia was just coming out of an economic recovery program, and the economy was not only bouncing, but the economy was doing good, and the re-export trade in Gambia was about to boom.
I'm going to hold you right there and let Mr. Tamba respond.
Unfortunately, we lost all of the gains we made through the ERP, the Structural Adjustment Program, that, you know, we have worked so hard from the 80s and ushering in the 90s. So 1991 was a good year for Gambia. 1992 was a good year for Gambia. 1993 was a good year for Gambia. And guess what? When the economy started showing positive signs of growth, that's when Yahya Jammeh and his cohorts came in, and that's when Gambia started to plunge downward economically, and that's when we lost our competitive and comparative advantage in the sub-region in terms of our re-export business. That's when our ports started going down.
Mr. Njai, I'm going to hold you.
Let me finish.
I'm going to hold you
because I've been listening for too long.
Don't go away. I want Mr. Tamba to respond. Please do not go away. Mr. Tamba, what do you have to respond with regard to what Mr. Njai has just said?
Well, first and foremost, I would like to knock Mr. Njai back to wherever cave he just emerged from.
Good for
now, Mr. Give me a second. You were talking and I was listening.
And now, we were at a ransom for over 22 years. Enough of the brutal brute of Jammeh. And right now, if they want to come together for us to build a new Gambia, we will embrace everyone to build a new Gambia. But Yahya Jammeh cannot be anything good for this country going forward. And the only way Yahya Jammeh is welcome to the Gambia is either in a coffin, which he refused for people to come in, like the likes of Buba Balde, or he comes in a cuff and face justice. But Yahya Jammeh will never walk the streets of Gambia as a free man like Dawda Jawara did. Thank you so much.
Right.
Thank you very much, Mr. Njai. I
right.
think he has he called and made his bid. Oh, Mr. Tamba, you have heard him.
Yes, I've heard him. And you know what? He says I'm emotional. Who's emotional now at the end of his speech? He said, yeah, Jammeh is not going to come back when he comes in a coffin. I mean, when we're talking about government business, we need to start doing the science of it, because this is what Gambians are not great at, including Nyang Jai, who claims he's an economist. And I'll tell you why Nyang Jai is wrong. I deal with numbers, Nyang Jai. I want him to come back and tell me what the numbers are. So in 1994, when the boys came in, all right, our Gambian economy was structured in such a way that if they didn't do that, if they didn't follow the footsteps that were shown to them by IMF, Gambia would have been in a serious state. If we just came out of a depression, I'll tell you what, 2 banks closed, all the cooperatives closed, GPMB died, GPTC was, they put travel ban on tourism, they put so many obstacles in front of the boys. Despite all those, what they did in 2 years was nothing PPP did for 32 years. How did that happen? It all happened because PPP, Jawara himself was playing golf in Surrey for 3 to 4 months, instead of working with his people on the ground and improving the country. The PPP ministers were sending their kids to United States and United Kingdom and bringing them based on basically funding their trips, less luxury trips on government funds. I'll tell you what, Nyanja needs to come with the statistics, because I can tell you the Gambia economy went from 900 million to 13 billion, and I can go into the nitty-gritty of where the money was going. And a lot of sectors improved under the A.P.R.C government compared to the PPP. PPP's got nothing to show for
Mr. Tamba, we have
existence.
another caller. We're gonna go on. We're gonna go on and take him and then come back to you. Hello, caller. What's your name and what's your contribution to the show, please?
Hello, madam.
Yeah, Marek. Alhamdulillah. Santa Yalla Bembari. No to the fire water. Ak lu sa contribution to show bi, please.
Mane ma ngi déglu seen programme bi
Wow, lan mooy sa contribution?
Ñu ngi laa dégg. Hello.
Waaw, lu ma bëgg a contribuer mooy.
Waaw.
Dama bëgg a laajte Nyang Jaay ndax moom dëkk bi wala kan ñun ñëpp ñoo bokk dëkk bi wala moom moo ko moom, loolu laa bëgg a laaj.
Kooku bëgg a laaj noonu.
Ma ne.
Waaw.
Dama bëgg a laajte Nyang Jaay ndax moom dëkk bi.
Nyang Jaay nga bëgg a laaj loolu. Ok.
Waaw, xam nga lan moo yàq dëkk bi.
Ok.
Di so-called activist like Nyang Jaay soo amee xam-xamam na ko rof si biir tubéyam bi mu demal.
ëpp na nañ rafetal waxi please ñu ngi leen a ñaan rek.
Wow, I think we still have Sundiata on the line. Hello, Mr. Keita. Yes, I'm here. Hello?
Hello?
Yes, Mr. Keita, we have heard our callers what they have already said. What is your take on it, especially in Young Guys?
The one before?
Yes.
Yeah, but again, you have to help me because I cannot hear everything he said because.
Yes, some of the things he said. Yes, some of the things he said is one life is way much more better than all the infrastructure and everything that Jammeh has done. One life costs more.
Okay, what we have to understand is that if good life and freedom doesn't come for free. Something must be, something has been sacrificed.
Excuse me?
When you look at it, huh?
What did you just say?
I said the people who, suffered the consequences of the 1994 revolution. You have to look at the people. Like I said before earlier in the interview, is It's not like the junta went out and catch people because you had one certain political affiliation or one tribal tribal affiliation. It was not because of tribes or which political party you were a part of that some people felt the force of the junta. You have to understand that the people who felt the force of the junta was people who themselves planned and to overthrow and to kill and to cause chaos and to do all kinds of things. These were coupists. These were criminals. Now again, my prayers goes out to all the families. But then you have a new government coming out now, burying the 30th December attackers, the people who attacked the State House on the 30th December. You have now a new government coming out giving these people graves. It would be the same as if I go and brought all my military friends. I start packing weapons and send them to Gambia to overthrow A.P.R.C and to start causing a chaos in a country where we are trying to democratic develop ourselves. And for me to come with my military guys, do you think that I'm a hero? So what we have to understand is that this government is not. This government has not done anything for them to stand there and uproot themselves and say that these people have done this and Yahya Jammeh has done that. Yes, like I said, one life lost is one life too much. That's my philosophy, and I believe in that. But we also have to understand that people who have been jailed and executed, unfortunately executed, is because that these people have been planning to overthrow and to cause chaos in this state.
But Mr. Keita, amidst those people were civilians, and then we actually had other cases of people, actually being arrested and detained, and people disappearing just because of, writing news about ongoing happenings. So, would you really call? How would you really justify those things? Because to be honest with you, not that there's anything against the A.P.R.C party, but then the reality of the matter was that the Jammeh rule was so tough that even if you had to complain about lack of medication in a hospital, you had to look twice behind you to see if there's nobody behind you. And then I must say that the trauma is still lingering in the minds of Gambians up to date.
Trauma of which Gambian? Which one? I have to ask your sister and also our other sister. Who in your family or how did you or your family suffer from 1994, the 1994 revolution? I want to know about the people who suffered, because most of the people who came out was people who were part of something. It's not just civilians like that who were caught up by the street and say, okay, you don't support us, okay, we put you in the truck. No, it's not like that. And listen, because we all know Gambia. Okay, Gambia is a small country.
But the April 10 and 11 were students.
Pardon?
The April 10 and 11 were students demonstrating. They are also
these were young people demonstrating about things that didn't really go down well with them, and they had the right to demonstrate, but then unfortunately we've seen what happened.
The problem is when we demonstrate in Africa, we think that we can go out in the street like they do in Europe. You have to understand that Europe have been building their democracy in the last 200 years.
These are students we are talking about, Mr. Keita. These are students we are talking about.
Yeah, of course, I know the incident student, but what we have to understand is that what caused that incident is because one officer allegedly raped one student or something like that, So I agree, and I am 100%. I would be in solidarity with the youth going out there, fighting for justice in our country. But I can also assure you that Yahya Jammeh, His Excellency, would never at that time had allowed 100%. The guy who the perpetrators 100% have been felt the full fault. It's not Yahya Jammeh who go there and rape that small student there, or it's not Yahya Jammeh who was standing there on the street for the order to kill. It's like saying that it's A.P.R.C who made the order to kill when they shot the 3 people in Farah Papancha at the incident there. It's like saying it's
Mr.
A.P.R.C
Keita,
who
you
gave the order.
comparing two different scenarios here. You are comparing two different scenarios here. As you said earlier,
I'm comparing two different scenarios, but the conclusion is the same. Because if you look at it, where is the difference? When you say that people, they want to blame this incident on Yahya Jammeh, They blame this school incident on Yahya Jammeh when we all know that, there is no evidence of he gave the order to kill. Like it's like saying Adam Barrow gave the order to kill in
Yeah, but then it's so,
incident.
Mr. Keita, it is very obvious that the blame will be put on him, because since then a commission has not been set, to investigate into the matter and see who actually gave the order, see who actually committed the crime of raping the student, and also most importantly see who actually committed the crime of shooting at those students. Okay, we have a caller on the line. Assalamu alaikum, caller. No to the for caller.
Hey, how are you?
Assalamu alaikum. What's your name and where are you calling from?
My name is Ahmad Diallo, calling from the Gambia here.
Okay, what's your contribution to the show?
Just listening to the program, both Lamin and Young Jai. And I know I'm old enough to say that I witnessed what happened during the 1981 coup. So what I'm saying with the blame game that's going on since the inception of this new Gambia, it's not going to take us nowhere. Especially, basically, when we're calling for truth and reconciliation and try to unite the country. Okay. Are you there?
Yeah,
yes, we are here listening.
Okay, my point is like I have seen people writing on social media. I'm very, very active on social media basically. And when I see people writing, when you calling for E.R.C. for people to unite, like Young Jai, who is a friend of mine, basically he's my ex-classmate, I had him see him on numerous calling people derelict, or like people are supporting the party based on tribal affinity. I am not a Jola man, but if that's what you mean, I support Yahya Jammeh, yes.
Okay.
I support the party since its inception. But again, the language that he normally uses on or basically acting as if he owns the Gambia.
Okay.
That's what I have a problem. I even have a discussion with on my own with him.
Okay.
This is what we don't need right now. The point what we need, if you try to come to bring the country together, we have to tolerate each other. Again, the so-called democracy we're trying to practice is not a one-size-fits-all.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much. We really appreciate your contribution, Mama. Wanulu am solo nena don ki nga xamne ya ngi support A.P.R.C rek waru tata nga wara receive ay numerous saga or ay condemnation from people. Yes, yeah, Jammeh def na ay toj tajam, but then I think in as long as Lady IEC bi ñu ngi recognize A.P.R.C promo exists as a party, I think we also need to respect the people that are supporting them.
Oh, that's obvious.
Because
and
it is their right to, belong to a certain political party or have their own political opinion.
That's quite true because, yes.
It's like the time is running out. But before we go, we're going to go with Lamin Tamba.
Yeah, hello?
Yeah, Mr. Tamba, you've heard what the callers have said. What can you add on that?
Well, I've heard both Nyangai, who basically came as an economist or financier. He should have supplied people the statistics between PPP, A.P.R.C, and now Barrow government, because that's how you know which government is excelling, which government is better than the other.
All right.
The reason they don't do that is because they've got nothing from PPP that is outstanding, and there's nothing that can overshadow what A.P.R.C did. And the reason they don't bring Barrow statistics in there is because they have got absolutely nothing improved since Jammeh left. In fact, I heard you mention about the 2000 shooting of students, which was unfortunate. And I was very close to that event myself. I was at the college, my first year or second, I think. Oh no, my third year at the college, doing the HND. And we basically went and had a negotiation talk with Jammeh when he returned from his travel. Because the events happened when Jammeh was away. So when he came back, the student union guys fled the country or fled to wherever they went because of fear of arrest. Some of them were picked up. So we formed a group from Gambia College to go and talk to him and say, look, this has happened, it's unfortunate. The students in detention, if you can please exercise clemency and let them go, free them, and no charges should be brought. And thankfully he listened after a week or 2 or 3. Jammeh listened. That was the first and last time I met Jammeh. So I can tell you, that was unfortunate, but the Jammeh government actually learned from the event. Since that, there was no shooting of protesters. There was no deaths from protests themselves. Unlike the Barrow government, which shot protesters twice now. in Kanilai and killed 1 and injured 19. Killed 3 in Faraba and injured about 20 something.
Okay.
And then again, the forces shot Ismaila in Kanilai a few months ago.
Okay.
So if you want to compare those, and the Barrow government, PPP government, ministers were flogging people, physical flogging, beating people, the electorate who didn't vote for them. PPP was killing people.
Mr. Tamba,
Left, right, and center. In fact, the 2 Inspector General of Police were killed by PPP. The first assassinations were under PPP. You look at the records now, all the independent press said PPP killed over 1,000 people
seems we
between
have
1981 and 1982. Yeah? So let's do the statistics and we'll know. If we do the statistics between the 3 governments,
we'll come to that. I think that will be the conclusion part. But for let's now pick this caller. I think it's going to be the last caller on the show.
Yeah.
Yes, before we proceed. Good evening. Hello, and where are you
Hello.
from?
maa ngi caller Angleterre na ngeen def sister.
Alhamdulillah. La mooy woon sa contribution.
tur bi moom nañu ko jaay wala.
waaw ma ne seen programme baa ngi over interesting nag.
Okay, no tudda.
man Omar Sam.
waaw Omar, lan nga contribute ci show bi?
waaw man lu ma contribute comme dama explainal gars yi ñu fa nekk Ñang Jaay ak Lamin Tamba yëpp. because Gambia dafa ndaw ñun ñëpp benn lañ understand nga. dafa am yu bari xewoon na Gambia kenn du ko deny. so ñoom Lamin Tamba man lu ma feel like noonu lañ war a def dañ war a accept understand nga ne Gambia dañ jógee si trauma lu garaaw lañ jógee nit yi rey nañ fa nit yi def nañ lu garaaw understand nga. so su gaay accepté ne lii xew na because TRRC bi ñëw na Janneh commission bi ñëw na ñu rey seen nit yi ñu ngi génn di wax ñu def rey bi ñu ngi wax at least nga feel pain nit yi understand nga accept reality bi ne dëgga lii xew na soo accepté reality bi at least nit yi dinañ mën a baalalante waaye yow soo accept reality bi ñu ngi rey seen nit yi yow nga ne non lii musuta am nii naa nii understand nga duñ reconcile waaye da nga accept ne yes ñëpp d'accord because ñëpp d'accord nañ nga ne yes lii xewoon na nañ baalalante ñu move forward because Gambia bi dafa ndaw duñ fi nekk di xam nga rek di toppante it's too small soo laalee kii laal nga kii understand nga dafa ndaw torop xam nga gars yi dañ war a accept rek ne waa at least Jammeh def na mistake nii naa nii ñëpp d'accord nañ yes ñu move forward waaye yow Jammeh su defee mistake nga ne non Jammeh du def mistake doo ko bëgg a wax doo ko bëgg a dégg te ñëpp xam nañ ne lu am la ba pare lu ma wax Ñang Jaay moom tamit xam nga rek ñun ñëpp benn lañ dëkk bii moom ñëpp xam nga rek ku nekk da nga si am waala nañ def ndànk rek ñu seet naka la ñoo def rek waaye A.P.R.C tamit même ba si nu ma leen a wax nañ accept réalité bi rek jërëjëf.
ok jërëjëf Kola
thank you very much Omar ñu ngi rafetlu call bi bu baax a baax Mr. Sundiata Keita, we would like to know what in your opinion is the way forward for the Gambia. Hello, Mr. Keita.
Yeah, hello.
Yes, we would like to know, in your opinion, what you think is the way forward for New Gambia and a better one, of course.
Okay. Well, it's a very good and important question for all of us because I think this is the only way forward now is that we come together. And I've been since the day I opened my platform, what I have been advocating for is that we come together. And I don't know if some of you can recall that the time when His Excellency Jammeh accepted defeat. You know, I came out, I congratulated His Excellency Admiral Barrow. I congratulated the supporters of the coalition, you know, for the change that they have voted for. Unfortunately, we found out some things that falls in this election, but that is what it is. Now, we have to come forward. But the way that they spoiled it, you know, they got the power. They were not only 1 day or 2 days. They already start talking about, yeah, we want to go and put Jammeh to court. Now we have power. Even they are the ones who created this deviation because we, the A.P.R.C, we already congratulated Admiral Barrow. We were already ready within the first week to hand over the power. You know, they're the ones who they destroyed this peace. And also, we will forever love Yahya Jammeh. I know what we the A.P.R.C, we are loyal people. We will not fall into the cheap lies and cheap propaganda. We will always.
Okay, Mr. Keita, are you foreseeing A.P.R.C and Barrow?
Come together. Let them stop. Let them continue in fulfilling their promises instead of, you know, wasting time and talking about Yahya Jammeh, that Yahya Jammeh has done this. And you know, because the only reason why they are doing it, they are downgrading Yahya Jammeh to uproot themselves because they have done nothing for Gambians or this country, for them to be proud of themselves like Yahya Jammeh had. So that's what that is their tactic. That is their tactic. You know, they're downgrading Yahya Jammeh to uproot themselves, and that is mathematics for anyone who is smart enough to see. But so the only way we come together, we can move Gambia now, is that we come together, because there are so many different political parties now. There are so many different opinions. There are so many different visions that we have to take the best ideas. We take the best ideas and we put them together. We come together, despite tribe, despite
Thank you very much, Mr. Sundiata Keita. It was really a pleasure to have you on our show. Yes, Mr. Tamba, can you please tell us, in your opinion, what you think is the way forward for the Gambia?
Well, the way forward is...
And also, we want to know, as the A.P.R.C. PRO in the diaspora, are you people ready to accept, as the other caller said, and move on?
Look, what that Omar Sam said, if you look at my posts from 2017 till now, you will not find, and I've posted thousands of times, you will not find one comment of mine or one post of mine that denies that people died under the A.P.R.C. regime. My question has always been, who killed them? One. Number two, yes, they died. But if you look at what we come from, despite the suffering of those people that suffered under APRC and the deaths, and I don't celebrate anyone's fall or anyone's death. I feel sorry for them, and I pray for the families affected, my family included.
Okay.
If you look at it as a politician, you need to look at government via statistics. This is what the West does better than Africa. You need to put statistics forward. Nobody said nobody died on the APRC. Not me, certainly not me.
Okay.
But who killed them is a legal matter. Again, this is why I don't go into detail of individual cases. I'm not going to say Deja Hadra did this or Korosi said did that, that's why I was killed by government. No, I never do that at all.
Okay.
I try and stay clear of all those cases. So yes, people died under APRC, the TRRC investigating. What I said earlier is always been the problem with the Gambia, and this is what is going to bring us together.
Okay.
We got to forget taking sides when it comes to our family members, our political parties, when it comes to suffering. When it comes to suffering, we all have to condemn stuff together. We can't pick one person, Yahya Jammeh, and Free Jawara, and Free Barrow, even though all of them are being accused of doing exactly the same thing. Why is Yahya Jammeh the target? Why is APRC the target? But in that coalition of 2016, PPP was one of the important players. But what PPP did in the Gambia, no other party will ever match it. Because in this day and age, you can't even do those and get away with it. But PPP got this government in power. They're not talking about that. Hell no. In fact, Sirif Mustafa Diba of NCP was sick since he left prison after 1 year of detention because they suspected he was a sympathizer of the 1981 coup. When the man wasn't. Okay, so we need to come together. We need to stop thinking we're going to be selective when it comes to justice. Okay, within the TRRC, many people were informed. Only 3 people are charged. And those 3 people are the ones who didn't have connections and backers. We're still doing the conflict of interest thing. We're still doing the selective justice thing. And we want to develop. What we have now, we need to go back to basics, because the government we have is a minority government. We need a government that's going to win the majority of Gambians to have a mandate to run the country properly. And in order to do that, we need to move closer to each other. I've seen a paradigm shift, because some parties are now cozying up with APRC, despite the fact that they're accusing APRC of aligning with Barrow. No, all of them are trying to get APRC's favors, and I think that's the way to go anyway.
Including
if we
UDP?
Want to get a majority, APRC has to be part of that majority going forward, because we are the biggest single party right now, and no government is going to run effectively without having something to do with APRC. And I want us to accommodate the past, but look forward as a unit. Without being a unit, we can't go forward very quickly. Thank you.
Thank you very much,
Mr. Tamba. It was a pleasure to have you contribute towards our show. Ma, dégg nañ gaay wax nañ wax yu am solo wax nañ wax yu yu dëgër tamit. We must admit tamit it was rather unfortunate that some people thought the show was actually a waste of time, but then thank God to the people who really actually acknowledged it, the likes of Omar from UK. Thank God for admitting that the show was quite interesting. Our purpose was only to enlighten the public, also to create room for discussion, because we know there's a lot of discussion curtailment going on right now. So platforms like this actually create opportunities for people to actually come out and talk about what is really affecting them.
Thank you very much for this. I think that's where we're going to draw our curtains tonight. Di leen jaajëfal bu baax a baax si taamu bi ngeen taamu li nga xamante ne mooy Eye Africa comme ni ko suma naataango bi waxee ñu bëri dañ fogoon ne dañoo ñëw toog fi rek ñëw rek toog fi waxtaanee li nga xamante ne moom la fi A.P.R.C def moom la fi A.P.R.C defut ba gis nañ dimension bi nga xamante ne moom la special edition bi jëlee li nga xamante ne mooy July 22nd revolution bi exactly tey nga xamante ne mooy woon ñaar fukki at ak juróom yi nga xamante ne su fi président Jammeh waroon na nekk ba tey mu waroon na nekk Silver Jubilee Fatis ma bàyyi la rek nga def sa kàddu yu mujjee ñu daal di tëj.
Jërëjëf Ma and viewers, thank you very much for sticking with us through the 2 hours program. It was really a while, but I'm sure you really enjoyed it, and we are grateful that you had to ride along with us. Don't go away, please stick with us. Stay tuned for this last video, for the video of President Jammeh's last July 22nd celebrations.
Thank you very much for having us.
But what is more important is you the future of humanity. Be you white, black, or whatever. You are the future of humanity. Remember that we are created by the Almighty Allah. I thank the Gambian people for not being racist. Because if you are racist, then you are not a Muslim. Because if you are a Muslim, you should know that we are all created by the Almighty Allah. And if you hate somebody because of the color of his skin, then you are questioning the integrity and wisdom of the Almighty Allah to create people. This is the only country where anybody, irrespective of where you come from, irrespective of your religion, irrespective of your color, irrespective of your language, can walk at 4 a.m. around the beach and nobody would harass you. This is the only one of the few countries where Europeans can go anywhere they want without being harassed. Asians, other Africans, when we smile, it's a genuine smile. This country, we believe in the Almighty Allah, and we are a good example, in fact the best example for what a Muslim country should be. Tolerance, love and respect, and generosity towards everyone, irrespective of tribe or race. Thank you, the Gambian people, but we should all thank the Almighty Allah.
enen jaati an hiiɗa sikka ko antum humpitoto kabaruji moƴƴiɗin kal diwal men ɗo awa fayi min kadi mbiɗo ko ɓiɗɗa ko woni ko jonnani min gi immorde e baluwo
mi annduno ɗum ko baluwo tu wawi ɗum ɗo on gi baali lanɗo ko ɓiɗɗa on addanirangue ɗo jonni langue ko iwre e baluwo
ndeɗo julde donking hiɗa wawi sodande ɓingure ma nden baali mawgi e oɗo baluwo service ko watta rek no weeɓi yahuka website ɗum woni www.baluwo.com waɗa download app on e baluwo hiɗa wawi sodude ñameteji wawɗi wa maaro sukkar nebban e ko heewi baluwo ɓuri nuldugol mbuuɗi
Bañul nga dem terminal marché garage bu kala ñun
suñu dëkk la bu ñu defarul kenn du ko dee suñu réew la bu ñu defarul kenn du ko dee suñu dëkk la bu ñu defarul kenn du ko dee suñu dëkk la bu ñu defarul kenn du ko dee
dëgg la suñu dëkk la ñun ñoo ci war a taxaw kaatoom ba pakaw koy na dem ba kaw na ku ne participate flag bi naaw sa kaw xewal yi taw amu dellu gannaaw waay suñu di gas ñe di suul dara du mun a kul bul bale sa kër jël mbalit sànni si mbedda bi magum jëma yoral loolum seben si mbedda bi public smoking ak yeneen xeetu pollution feyal sa cigarette bi yang ma pollution bushfire bi bari na nit nañ solution deforestation war nañ di ko moytu comme Yankuba Sakho kana yiroli kuntu ana patriot si ñëw leen ñu gën a all out yeah su si ñëpp jàppee dinañ si gën a no doubt
suñu dëkk la bu ñu defarul kenn du ko dee suñu réew la bu ñu defarul kenn du ko dee suñu dëkk la bu ñu defarul kenn du ko dee suñu dëkk la bu ñu defarul kenn du ko dee bu ñu defarul kenn du ko dee
man ngeen bu naani tali ba pour kuréel Gambia képp kuy doomi réew mi lii dee war na laa dañu fàtte yëppi loolu nga xam ne ñu ni neen laa ndax réew mi suñu réew laa su baaxee ñun la baaxal jàmm ju ñu àddina si xamee bu ñu ko kenn yaaxal li koy doxal nañu soxal ay du yem ci bopp borom bu ko kenn ñaan booram li xewoon fële ci Rwanda war naa doy ay ëpp na xëccët bi dafa doy ëpp na lan moo tax ñu ni neen di bañante mel ni du neen hatred fes fidèle ignorance dañu tardel fexe leen ba bàyyi ci xel te di moyta dëkk lu ñu mel jéem a raxas xol yi xol intérêt si réew mi bàyyi tribalism jox liggéey ñu ko yellool te bàyyi népotisme jammoo bennoo bu kennoo nenu labal suñuy meloo lu ñuy xëccoo amul solo
suñu dëkk la bu ñu defarul kenn du ko dee suñu réew la bu ñu defarul kenn du ko dee suñu dëkk la bu ñu defarul kenn du ko dee suñu dëkk la bu ñu defarul kenn du ko dee.
Hey yo, the secretaries, lawyers, doctors and teachers, farmers, plumbers, the fishermen and welders, carpenters, scholars, the nation builders. You better build this land. Do you understand? When we're ready to make it, we'll be building the nation with the real formation. We don't need corruption in every occasion. Let us build the nation. Sacrificing for the country, more illegal. Don't be corrupt in your office, but me do them. Look at Jamaleka, Namawara, don't you know hair? Amut Hajak Sen, and you represent. Let us come together, develop together, build the land together. Ready for whatever, backwards never. I'm ready to make it, together we'll make it.
Suñu dëkk la bu ñu defarul kenn